Hello, my friends. In today's episode, I want to talk about something I call the destructive combo. A combo that can completely destroy our youth, our vitality, and even the life that was supposed to be more dynamic, more positive, and more full of growth. Whenever I talk with my friends, whether they're close friends or just acquaintances, I often try to run a little survey related to this topic. In fact, some of my friends even asked me, sometimes when we're just chatting casually, are you secretly surveying me right now? Because whenever I hear you on your program, it feels like it's always mini surveys. Am I being surveyed too? And usually I just tell them, relax. If I were surveying you, I'd tell you directly. I wouldn't keep quiet about it. But this time, it really was a survey. I told my friend, these 3 things I'm about to list, tell me if you experience them often. Number 1, addiction to social media. Number 2, loneliness. And number 3, feeling like you hate your life or even hate yourself. Do you feel like these situations happen often in your life? And my friend said, do you want me to answer honestly? I told them, of course honestly. Don't worry, nobody's going to put your name up on YouTube. And then my friend answered, yes, I do. That was their exact response. So I asked one more question. Do you think the people around you experience this combo a lot? Or not so much? And my friend answered, a lot. Definitely a lot. I see it in my coworkers and my friends. They face this all the time. Sometimes we go out for coffee and everyone's just glued to their phones. Then later they complain that nobody understands them. Loneliness, and especially this sense of frustration, shows up a lot. Now, let me say this clearly. I don't look at life through a pessimistic lens, like I'm wearing dark glasses all the time. I still see plenty of people who are full of joy, and I always try my best to encourage people to live well and to love life. I'm not saying the whole world is like this, but the truth is there are many people who experience this combo, not just a few. So my way of asking is really simple. 1, do you experience this combo yourself? 2, when you look around, do you see many people experiencing it? And sadly, the honest answer is quite a lot. Most of the people I asked gave me pretty negative answers, and it does make me sad, my friends, because sometimes when you see someone trapped in their loneliness, in their struggles, you can't help but feel moved by it. And let me be very clear here. I'm not saying this to polish my image or to make myself look good. I'm speaking seriously. I'm only sharing what I truly feel because honestly, sometimes I'm even afraid that if I say something straight from the heart, just because I feel it, I might be misunderstood. People might say I'm acting or being fake. And yes, sometimes those comments get to me because what I say isn't anything lofty. It's just me sharing what genuinely touches me. But once in a while, you still get those comments, and they do make me hesitate. Because imagine this, you say something you truly believe is kind and worth saying. In fact, something that should be said every single day in life. And yet, there are some people who simply can't accept a kind word, who can't accept a gentle, compassionate tone. Sometimes they just don't understand. But that's okay. What's good deserves to be said. Even if we're not perfect, just leaning toward goodness is already valuable. And in this case, I'm speaking directly from my heart, from my truth. So really, what's there to worry about, right? Now back to the story. Among the people I asked, there are so many who have experienced this destructive combo. And of course, that leads me to think, if people close to me are experiencing this, then it's very possible that people further away, people I haven't even met or spoken to, might also be going through it. So who might they be? Most likely, even some of you, my listeners right now, may be facing these situations. And that's why I feel like this is something we need to talk about. And let me also mention this. This episode is actually something I owe you. In my previous episode about doom scrolling, I left out one last point, the 3rd one. So today, I want to wrap that up. But this isn't just a continuation of that episode, it's an expansion. I'll leave a link to the previous episode in the first comment, so if you haven't heard it yet, you can check it out and connect it with today's talk. Because why do people end up addicted to social media? Why do people feel lonely? Why do they hate their lives? It all comes down to the root cause. And that root cause can be summed up in 3 words. It even connects to a song I've been hearing a lot recently. To be honest, I don't usually listen to much modern music. But if you go to enough coffee shops, or if you spend time with Gen Z friends, you'll definitely hear the songs they really love. And one of the songs they played for me was called Lost Connection. And I realized that's the answer I'd been looking for. Disconnection. Disconnection creates so many of the problems we face in life. Why are you addicted to social media? It's because our real life isn't wow enough. Compared to the life we see online, our real life feels lacking. And that's why we get addicted, eh? But if our real life, our actual daily life was wow, 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 then you just want to put your phone away. You wouldn't even feel like using it. And let me say this again. I need to make it clear beforehand. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here. I'm just stating something obvious, something very normal. I have to say this up front because I'm honestly scared. I want to keep it casual, and I want all of us to keep it casual together. The truth is, I don't use social media anymore, and I don't read online news either. That's something I want to be very clear about with you. From deep inside me, very simply, I just find real life more fun. So then, why would I go online, right? The only thing I do is upload content on YouTube, on podcasts, because I believe that has value and can spread. But in my daily life, I don't go online. I don't use social media, at least not the big platforms that you know. Well, to be honest, I do use one small social platform, but only with a group of close friends. A group I consider soul friends. Just a few dozen, not just a few people, that's all. But the major social platforms, I almost never use them. Because I feel like real life is just more fun. When I connect with real life, it feels more wow. So then, why would I go online? Why do people feel lonely? Again, it's because of disconnection. Disconnection between people. Why do people feel bored at work? Same reason they've lost connection with their work. They don't feel attached, they don't feel linked to their work, at least not from the heart. And the truth is, people nowadays are smart, right? Everyone has intelligence. Everyone has wisdom. If we borrow a phrase from a folktale, everyone has the wisdom already. Rationally, you can say, yes, my work has this meaning. It has that meaning. But whether your heart feels it or not, that's a hit or miss. And the people who hate their jobs the most are those who cannot connect with their work. And especially, why do people hate their own lives, right? It's because they've become deeply disconnected from life itself and even from themselves. Not everyone likes themselves, my friends. Many people hate themselves. This is not rare at all. So the answer to the whole combo, whether you cut it into parts or put it all together, the big reason comes down to 3 words: loss of connection. The answer, at least to me, is very clear. And I think that if we want to live happier, sometimes we need to pay attention to this one keyword, disconnection. So how do we solve it? What's the solution to all the situations in that combo I mentioned? Social media addiction, loneliness, hating yourself, hating your life, hating your job, hating what you're studying, or even reading a book and feeling nothing, not finding it interesting at all? Because the truth is, you and that book don't have much connection. It just bounces right off you. So the answer is clear. Learn how to connect. This is a life mission, my friends, because if you learn how to connect, and I mean learn, because this doesn't come easily, it doesn't just fall from the sky, it's a skill. You have to learn. You have to learn how to connect. And when you do, you'll start to love life again. You'll feel like you belong to something bigger, to some greater part. You'll feel shared. And this sense of sharing isn't only when you're with others. Even when you're alone, you'll still feel connected. Which means the negative forms of loneliness, the harmful kinds of loneliness, they won't show up as much in your life anymore. That's the power of connection. But of course, let me tell you this. It depends on the person. Some people connect quickly, very well. Some people connect more slowly. But all I want is for you to trust the process. So we need to be clear about one thing. This is a skill. I'm about to share a solution with you. And this solution is a skill. It follows the law of learning, something everyone has to go through. Which means if you practice this for a few days and then quit, you need to admit it. You've given up. You've surrendered. You need to call it what it is. You need to take responsibility for yourself, because only then can you grow. It's like this. If you're learning English and you give up when you've only reached the simple present tense, then you have to admit, I gave up, I quit. That's it, nothing else. Because this is knowledge, this is skill. You have to frame it as a process of getting better. That's the mindset of growth, my friends. And on the flip side, the path to success also follows the same law of learning: diligence, effort, persistence. And then you'll get that skill. There's nothing mystical about it. At the beginning, I emphasize self-awareness because I don't want anyone to misunderstand. And I don't want anyone to take this and twist it into something that goes against the laws of life. Like, I don't want someone who's been learning to swim for 2 weeks, still can't swim, and then suddenly loses all faith in the human ability to swim. I don't want that. I also don't want someone who's been studying a foreign language for 1 month, still can't speak English, and then they stop believing that anyone in the world can speak English. Those are totally wrong conclusions. And when it comes to self-development and life skills, it's the same thing. I want to make that really clear. Okay? So now let's come back to the topic of disconnection. How do we learn to reconnect? For me personally, I reconnect through a method I've given my own name to. It's something I practice, I find it effective, and I hope that after some effort, you'll also find it effective. This method is called mindful connection. Learning to reconnect, but not in a shallow, forgetful, careless way. No, it's reconnecting with life through mindful connection. And since mindful connection can be flipped around, I want to put it this way too. Connection through mindfulness, which means mindfulness comes first and connection comes after. And there are a few environments where we can practice this. First, it's nature. Mindful connection. I don't think it's a coincidence, but almost everyone I know, whenever they go somewhere with nature, with a stream, with trees, with a forest, with a garden, and especially if that place has no signal, no cell phone service, that's even better. Almost everyone I've met feels peaceful in that space, feels wonderful in that space, feels healed in that space, until they go back home, and then the suffering starts again. If I ask you, why does that happen? The answer is connection. When you're in a space like that, with a stream, a forest, mountains, clean air, in a peaceful environment like that, it's hard to feel miserable. Honestly, if you just stay there for 3 days, suddenly life feels so light, so easy. Why? Because you're connected to nature. You're connected to the air, to the temperature. Your eyes are connected to the trees, to the fruits, to the flowers. You're connected to all of it. Sometimes you don't even go anywhere all day. You just walk around that area. You put your hand into the stream. The water keeps flowing, 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 and you feel the coolness. That's connection, my friends. We can practice mindful connection in a very simple way. Just touch nature and pay attention to the feeling. Slowly, you'll start to notice changes deep inside yourself. I grow ornamental plants. I grow vegetables. And almost every morning I spend 10-15 minutes. First, I look at them. Just seeing them green and healthy makes me happy. Then I touch them. I touch the leaves with my hand. I feel the veins of the leaf. In that moment, I'm connected with it. This is a mysterious form of life. I just keep touching like that. Sometimes I even touch my water spinach leaves so much that I do it unconsciously. Honestly, sometimes I damage the young ones and have to replant. Sorry, water spinach. But I feel the texture of the leaves. I smell the flowers. This is my daily practice, and it brings me so much peace. And then there's our ears. We connect with the sound of birdsong. We connect with the language of the world around us. If you practice Buddhism, you might call this mindfulness practice. But if you look at it in a very down-to-earth way, you could just call it touch, listen, look. When you go outside, practice looking. You can walk. Look at the things related to nature. Then you'll notice, oh, the park you've been to so many times actually has a beautiful flower bed you never paid attention to. Don't pick them, but you can touch them. Suddenly, you'll feel connected to the plants. It's exactly like when you sit by a stream and put your feet in, letting the water flow past you. That same peace, you can find it anywhere. So, practice, my friends. Even if you live in the city, even in office buildings, you'll find indoor plants. Just put a finger on them and notice. Of course, ask first. Some people don't want you touching their plants. But if they're okay with it, touch, look, smell. Do this every day and you'll find so much healing inside yourself. There are so many experiences you just have to try for yourself. Because sometimes a method is so simple that people don't even believe it works. But it really depends on you, on your openness to experience. That's it. Touch, listen, smell nature. Second, touch your pets. I know many of you have pets, and I'm sure they're one of your greatest joys. Stroking your pet, petting them, that's connection too, my friends. The more you love them, the more you touch them. You'll feel their happiness. You'll feel how relaxed they are, how joyful they are, how they're waiting for your affection. That's the good you do for your dog or your cat. But in truth, you're also receiving something. Because mindful connection is a real reward. It happens right there in the present moment. You can create it without going anywhere. Just by petting your dog, scratching your cat's back, you'll feel joy. You'll feel healing. That's real. Don't believe me? Just ask anyone who has pets. Ask them if petting their beloved dog or their sweet cat brings them happiness. It's one of the greatest joys in their life. Mindful connection. Wherever there's connection, there's joy. Wherever there's connection, there's joy. And wherever there's disconnection, sadness will creep in. Almost like a law. That's the second thing. The third is connecting with your loved one. Many couples, after a long time, don't even hold hands anymore. They get used to each other. That's a loss. I think you should take it further, not just holding hands with your partner, your loved one, or hugging or kissing or small gestures of care. You should place your attention before the hand-holding. And when you do that, a kind of love will appear, something that maybe you've lost for a long time because of habit, because of familiarity. When you hold someone's hand with attention, you'll notice, is their hand warm or cold, sweaty or dry? You might even notice whether they're holding you back tightly or loosely. There are so many messages in that kind of connection. Sometimes, when you hold someone's hand, you notice, why is their hand so cold today? And instantly, you feel a kind of care rising up. You might ask, hey, are you not feeling well today? And they might ask back, how did you know? And you can answer honestly, because when I held your hand, I felt it was cold. So I thought maybe something wasn't right inside you. Do you want to share it with me? If they trust you, they'll open up and you just sit and listen. If not, maybe they'll say, can you do something for me? Take me out somewhere, or let's go eat something I love. And you say, sure, I'll take you. I won't ask. That's connection, because love needs a kind of ingredient. Without it, it doesn't work. No logic, no reasoning alone can keep people deeply in love unless there is connection. So practice it, my friends. Life has countless things for us to practice. Countless. Touch, listen, look, pay attention, connect. Doing so will solve so many problems of both health and mind. And finally, work. Honestly, with work, it's nothing new. You know the state people call flow, but really, what is flow other than connection with your work? Why do so many people never reach that flow state? That state where you lose track of time because you're so absorbed, because they're disconnected. Of course, there are many formulas out there. Do A, do B, do C, and you'll enter flow. I've studied those too. They're not wrong. But for me, I've found something closer, more practical. And that is mindful connection. Whatever I do, I bring attention and responsibility into it, no matter what it is. So even when I have to do something I really hate, I simply remind myself, focus, connect, and take responsibility. Just get it done. Each thing I do, I stay attentive. Each task, I stay attentive. And eventually, my friends, there's almost no task I truly hate anymore. Sure, there are still things I don't like. Today, 10 years from now, I still won't like them. But I can still find some comfort in them, just by paying attention and staying responsible. So do it. Don't resist. If it's your duty, if it's your job, then just do it and be fully there. That's the best way to overcome the challenge. And one day, you'll notice, even this thing, you feel a kind of calm, a kind of peace with it. And many times, something you once hated, you'll grow to like. I've seen this with people who train at the gym with a personal trainer. I've seen them walk from the parking lot toward the gym, looking so anxious. So I asked, "What's wrong? Are you feeling sick?" And they answered, "No, it's just, today is leg day. I'm terrified. Just thinking about it makes me feel feverish." And if you've ever trained, leg day is one of the hardest. Painful, heavy, exhausting. Even experienced athletes dread it. So I understood. At that moment, that person had zero enjoyment. Nothing they liked about it. They were terrified. But still, they thought, well, first of all, I already paid. Personal training isn't cheap. And second, I remember why I'm here. I want to be healthy. I want to look good. So I'll just push myself to go. And after just 2 to 3 months, things changed quickly. The brightness in their eyes was totally different. They had moved through that painful stage, and suddenly they loved it. Clearly, in those toughest moments, no amount of willpower or motivation can bridge the gap between boredom and hatred for the task. But if you just connect, stay attentive, stay responsible, and keep going, you'll eventually discover a hidden beauty in the very thing you once despised. That's been my experience. And that's how you move through everything much more lightly. So pay attention to connection. Absolutely pay attention to connection, and many wonderful things will happen in your life. That's my wish for you all. That's everything I wanted to share with you today. I hope you also felt some connection between me and you. That's my happiness. And if you feel these reflections have value, if they bring you even a little peace or a fresh perspective, then I kindly ask you to press the like button to support me. And don't forget to subscribe so we don't lose connection with each other in the upcoming episodes. Not only will that give me more motivation to continue, but it will also help us maintain this companionship, this bond, like a small community walking together through the meaningful things in life. Thank you so much. Goodbye, and see you next week.